Unsteady in the opening exchanges. Shane Watson did break free from his early insecurities, but when he was trapped LBW for 79 and then captain Ricky Ponting was run out cheaply, Australia were wobbling somewhat on 144 for 3. There did though follow a runnable 50 from Michael Clark, and that pushed Australia to a solid rather than spectacular 262 for 6. It was expected that Zimbabwe would struggle against pace, and that's exactly what happened. Early wickets from Lee, Tate and Johnson, reducing them to 96 for 6 and putting to an end any thoughts of a shock result. Zimbabwe were eventually bowled out for 171, Australia winning by 91 runs, their 24th consecutive World Cup win.
Much has changed since Australia's World Cup win of 4 years ago. Great players have retired and the selectors have appeared uncertain as to just how to replace them. But it is to be remembered, Australia are still the #1 ranked ODI side in the world. After this relatively light workout, this tournament gets serious for them next time out when they play New Zealand. Andy Richardson, AlJazeera, Ahmedabad.
So Australia are off to a winning start. Their old rivals England are next in action at the World Cup, taking on the Netherlands in what's the second match in Pool B after India's win over Bangladesh on Saturday. Kevin Peterson's ready to continue in his new role as an opening batsman for England after scoring 66 in their warm-up victory against Pakistan in Bangladesh on Friday. A much-needed return to form for England, who were hammered 6-1 in their recent one-day series in Australia. The Netherlands, meanwhile, are one of the tournament outsiders, one of the 4 teams at the World Cup who've never played Test cricket, but they do have form against England, beating them at Lord's in the opening game of the 2009 2020 World Cup. And their captain, Peter Bowen, thinks they can pull off another upset.
We're going to go out there and give it our best game, and I think there's no doubt that we've got some really, really very talented cricketers, who I think will make an impact at this World Cup. And talented cricketers who I'm not sure have made such an impact or had the opportunity to make that impact yet.
A couple of football scores to round up. There was one match in Spain's La Liga where Real Sociedad beat Real Mallorca in a mid-table clash. Real Tamuda scored the only goal of the game, a result that takes Sociedad up to 8th place in the Spanish table. And in England, West Ham are heading through to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup after a comfortable 5-1 win against Championship side Burnley in their replay. 2 goals from Carlton Cole there at Upton Park. West Ham will now travel to Stoke City in the last 8. There's new coach at the Italian Serie A team Roma after the shock resignation of Claudio Ranieri. He's been replaced by the youth team coach Vincenzo Montella. Ranieri had been heavily criticised after his team lost a 3-0 lead at Genoa on Sunday, going down 4-3. But the resignation still came as a surprise. Montella, the former Italy striker who only retired from playing last summer, has been given the Roma manager's job until the end of the season. There's been a surprise on the first day of the Qatar Open tennis in Doha, with 7th seed Agnieszka Radwanska knocked out in the first round. Radwanska, at the top of the screen here, went down 7-6, 6-3 to her unseeded opponent Lucy Safarova of the Czech Republic. Finally, the 2 Greek athletes accused of faking a motorcycle accident to avoid a drugs test before the 2004 Olympics failed to show up in court today. The trial in Athens will go ahead without either Kostas Kanteris or Katerina Tanu, who have both now retired from the sport. Kanteris, the former Olympic men's 200 metres gold medalist, said he was out of the country for family reasons, while Tanu gave no reason for her absence. If convicted, the 2 sprinters could face a suspended 5-year jail sentence. And that's all the sport. Back to you.
Thanks very much. Do stay with us here on Al Jazeera throughout the day. 2 major statements coming up on our main stories. With Libya, we have a major Security Council statement to be made coming out of New York. Also, the Arab League are meeting in Cairo. We're also following another story in New Zealand. A major earthquake, 6.3, hit Christchurch. 65 people dead, many, many injured. A state of emergency placed on the city itself. Those are the stories. Do stay with us. I'm Sahil Rahman. You've been watching the Al Jazeera News Hour.
China has a growing elderly population, and as a consequence of its one-child system, there are fewer younger people to take care of them. It's a responsibility that often falls to the state. Private retirement homes offer an alternative, but independence comes at a price, financially and emotionally. Faces of China on Al Jazeera.
The times change. The instruments evolve. The battlegrounds shift.
This is America! Our country!
But the international struggle continues.
He was murdered!
Uncompromising, hard-hitting investigations.
I can't get no justice from no one in Jamaica.
People and power, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera, Frontline.
The situation is getting increasingly worse. The police is not getting here. People are simply starving.
It had been a peaceful day, but then this.
Many Greeks have deep economic concerns, but there are also groups who have a deep antipathy towards the police.
Once on the ground, the soldiers of Mexico's 94th Battalion continued their mission to find and destroy marijuana crops.
In a new series of one-hour documentaries, Al Jazeera English showcases films from across the Al Jazeera network.
Lebanon, a land with no common history. Listening to the views of students, an important lesson can be learned. How contradictions and inconsistency can cripple a country's development long after the end of the Civil War.
Al Jazeera World at this time.
14 competing teams, 13 different venues, 3 host nations. Cricket is part of the fabric of life here, and this competition is the pinnacle of the one-day game. We'll be bringing you all the action and reaction from India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. The Cricket World Cup on Al Jazeera.
This is Al Jazeera.
Welcome to the News Hour. I'm Fali Batibu from the Al Jazeera News Centres here in Doha and Kuala Lumpur. Our top stories this hour. I'm going nowhere. Muammar Gaddafi makes an appearance on Libyan television to tell the world he hasn't fled the country. Fighter jets have been bombarding the capital, with hundreds now feared dead across the country. At least 65 are dead after a major earthquake in New Zealand. And a long-awaited verdict in India. 31 people are convicted in connection with the 2002 Godhra train burning. Well, the future of Libya appears to be on a knife edge. Fighter jets have been bombarding the capital, Tripoli, reportedly on the orders of leader Muammar Gaddafi.